Oh, hello. Welcome to the Curious Emporium. Have a look at what we have in store for you.
We're talking about one of history's biggest, most enduring mysteries. For 800 years, people have been searching for the final resting place of the legendary Genghis Khan. I mean, it's a secret that's been protected by myths, mountains, and maybe even a deadly curse. So today, let's dive into the hunt for this lost tomb. Seriously? Think about that for a second. For over 800 years, nearly a millennium, the location of his tomb has been one of the best-kept secrets in all of human history. It's this incredible puzzle that has absolutely fascinated explorers, historians, even governments. People have launched countless expeditions, scouring the huge, rugged landscapes of Mongolia, and every single one has come up empty. And the legends about how he was buried, they are just bone-chilling. I mean, the story goes that the funeral party killed anyone they came across just to hide the root. Then the 2,000 slaves who actually built the tomb, they were all killed by soldiers. And then those soldiers were killed by another group of guards. It's this insane layer upon layer of secrecy. To top it all off, they supposedly diverted a river to flow right over the grave and had 1,000 horses trample the ground to wipe away any sign. This was an absolutely brutal, unbelievable effort to make sure he would never, ever be found. So you have to ask, why all the secrecy? Well, to get that, you really have to get the man himself. Genghis Khan is complicated. In the West, his name basically means brutal conqueror, right? And yeah, for good reason. His armies left millions dead, but that is just one side of the coin. On the other hand, he united all these warring tribes. He basically supercharged the Silk Road, connecting East and West. He abolished torture and even established things like religious freedom and diplomatic immunity. He wasn't just some warlord, he was a total revolutionary. And the sheer scale of what he accomplished is just mind-blowing. During his life, he conquered more than 31 million square kilometers. Okay, so what does that even mean? To put that into perspective, that's more than twice the size of the entire Roman Empire at its absolute peak. There's really no debate here. He was one of the most powerful and influential people who has ever lived. Okay, so with a legacy that huge and a burial that secret, where on earth do you even start looking? Well, for centuries, almost every clue has pointed to one very specific, very restricted, and very sacred place, an area that's come to be known as the Forbidden Zone. Right after he died, this huge area in the Khenti Mountains, his homeland, was declared the Ik Korig. That literally means the Great Taboo. And they weren't kidding. For hundreds of years, this 240 square kilometer zone was totally sealed off. If you were caught trespassing, well, the punishment was death. It was guarded by this elite tribe, the Darkhad, whose only job, they didn't have to pay taxes or serve in the army, was to keep everyone out. This place was so important that even during the Soviet era, it stayed restricted because they were afraid it would spark Mongolian nationalism. But why there? Why that exact spot? Well, the biggest clue we have comes from a scholar back in the 13th century. He wrote that one day Genghis Khan was out hunting and he stopped to rest under a tree on the sacred mountain called Burkhan Khaldun. And apparently he was just so struck by the beauty of the place that he said, "When I pass away, bury me right here." And that single story, that's been the North Star for pretty much every modern search. And you know, the search has been going on for a long, long time. And it's been mostly just frustrating. Back in the 13th century, even Marco Polo said that the local Mongols had no idea where the tomb was. Fast forward to the 1900s, you get the first modern foreign expeditions, and they find nothing. Then in 1990, there's this huge Japanese-Mongolian project, but it gets shut down because of massive public protests. And that right there is a huge clue. For a lot of Mongolians, this whole hunt is an obsession for foreigners, not for them. So with traditional archaeology basically hitting a brick wall and running into all this cultural resistance, the search had to change. The hunt took a hard pivot. Now, it's not about shovels and digging, it's about satellites, drones, and, believe it or not, the power of thousands of regular people. And the guy leading this high-tech charge is a National Geographic explorer named Dr. Albert U. Menlin. He came at this whole problem with a completely different mindset. He asked a brilliant question. What if you could excavate an area without ever actually digging a hole? And that personal challenge he set for himself, it drove a project that would completely change the search. So what Lin's team did was pretty revolutionary. They took 85,000 super high-resolution satellite images of Mongolia, and they put them online for anyone to see. They basically recruited an army of volunteer citizen scientists to just scan through these images from their own computers and tag anything that looked weird or maybe man-made. It was this incredible use of crowdsourcing that took a completely impossible task, finding a needle in a continent-sized haystack, and turned it into a manageable list of spots for a ground team to go check out. And once that ground team had their list of hotspots, they brought in the cool tech. We're talking drones for super detailed aerial maps, ground-penetrating radar to literally see under the soil, and other gadgets to map magnetic fields. The key here is that all of this is non-invasive. They could see what was buried without disturbing a single rock. And that was absolutely crucial because digging in these sacred areas is a big no-no. So, the big question, what did they find? Well, they didn't find the tomb. Let's get that out of the way. But guided by all those volunteers and their high-tech gear, they found something else, something amazing. They found the buried foundations of a huge, man-made structure on a sacred mountain that no one knew was there. And here's the kicker. Artifacts at the site dated right to the 13th century, Genghis Khan's time. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest lead anyone has had in 800 years. Now, you've probably seen those crazy headlines that pop up every few years claiming the tomb has been found. There was a big one in 2022 from a site claiming road workers just stumbled upon it. Treasure and skeletons and the whole shebang. Yeah, you should probably take those with a huge grain of salt. The serious historical and archaeological community pretty much dismisses those reports. The overwhelming consensus is this. The tomb has not been found. It's most likely still hidden somewhere in those mountains, and not a single confirmed artifact has ever been found. And this is where the whole story gets really complicated. Because the search isn't just about history or archaeology anymore. It's a huge cultural and ethical debate. The question has shifted from where is the tomb to something much deeper. Should we even be looking for it at all? Okay, first, let's clear up something that confuses a lot of people. There is a big, fancy mausoleum of Genghis Khan in China. You can go visit it. But this is a memorial, a monument. It's a place of worship, it has some of his stuff, but his body is not there. It's a public attraction. The actual tomb, his real physical resting place, is still a secret, hidden somewhere in Mongolia. And you know what? A lot of Mongolians want it to stay that way. There's this perfect quote from a Mongolian translator that really says it all. If they'd wanted us to find it, they would have left some sign. For them, this is all about respect. Genghis Khan went to incredible, brutal lengths to keep his grave a secret. So to go searching for it is seen as a huge dishonor to the most important figure in their entire history. And then there's the curse. This isn't just some vague, spooky story. It's tied to a real historical event. So in 1941, Soviet archaeologists opened the tomb of another famous Mongol ruler, Timur. 2 days later, the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union. That timing was so uncanny, it sparked this powerful legend, the Curse of Timur. It's this deep-seated belief that opening the graves of these mighty conquerors brings nothing but disaster. So that's where we are. We're left with this incredible dilemma. On one side, you have maybe the greatest archaeological prize on the planet, a discovery that could totally change what we know about history. But on the other side, you have a sacred place, the dying wish of a national hero, and a powerful belief that it should be left in peace forever. Is it a prize to be found or a secret to be kept? It's a question that's just as mysterious as the location of the tomb itself.